So before we jump into the what of it all, the source material really wants us to understand the why. Why do these principles even exist? Let's take a closer look at this idea of a divine blueprint for our health.
Now, what's so interesting here is how these laws are defined. They're not presented as restrictions, but as governing principles for growth, and maybe even more importantly, as a hedge of protection. Think about that for a second. It's less like a fence designed to keep you locked in and more like a guardrail on a dangerous mountain road, just there to keep you safe.
Okay, so we have this beautiful idea of a protective law, but how does that actually look in the real world? The source points us to a really concrete, historical example of what it calls the ministry of healing.
This verse is held up as a really key piece of the puzzle. Just listen to the words. Be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. You see, the source is pointing out that these two things are tied together. They give an equal weight. It suggests that our physical well-being isn't some separate thing. It's deeply connected to our spiritual well-being.
And this right here just illustrates that point perfectly. The source material shows us three distinct parts to this ministry. There was teaching, there was preaching, and there was healing. Healing wasn't some afterthought. It was a core part of the work. It really set a clear precedent for caring for the body just as much as the spirit.
So with that foundation now laid, this idea of a divine blueprint and a history of healing, we can finally turn to the practical framework itself, a whole system, or as the source calls it, a complete way of life. And that brings us, of course, to the main question. If there really is a blueprint, a set of guiding principles for our well-being, then what are they? What exactly are these precepts for a healthy life?
Well, the answer comes in this simple acronym, NEWSTART. And the source is really clear. This isn't some fad diet or a 30-day challenge, but a sustainable way of life. Let's walk through it slowly. N is for nutrition, just fueling our bodies the right way. E is for exercise, keeping our bodies moving. W is for water, which is of course essential for life. S is for sunshine, for our well-being. T is for temperance, which is all about balance and moderation. A is for the pure air we breathe. R is for getting proper rest so our bodies can heal. And finally, T is for trust in God, the spiritual bedrock. Altogether, they create a whole system for health.
Now, to really bring this whole idea full circle, the source suggests that these laws aren't just a random list of good ideas. It argues they're actually woven deep into the fabric of our world, like an echo you can hear in the story of creation itself.
This is just a fascinating final thought. The idea that these 8 principles, things like the need for air and water and balance and rest, are mirrored in the story of the 7 days of creation. This connection is there to show us that these laws are absolutely foundational and timeless, not some new discovery, but part of the original design from the very beginning.
And so, that leaves us with a quiet thought to consider. As you look at this framework, from nutrition and exercise all the way to rest and trust, how is this design for health reflected in your own day? If this video was helpful to you, please like, comment, and subscribe to help the YouTube algorithm get the videos out to others. Thanks for watching this Principles University presentation, and we'll see you in the next video.